Errol Spence Jr., Terence Crawford, and Jaron Boots Ennis. We have to have this conversation. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. Let's go. Like I said before, y'all, welcome back to the channel. This is your boy JG. This is a Punch Report. Please be so kind. Like, subscribe, bell icon for notification. Let's jump into the content. So, you see the title of the video. You saw the introduction. Errol Spence Jr., Terence Crawford, Jaron Ennis, and the conversation surrounding these three fighters. The first thing I want to say is this. Errol Spence Jr. will be fighting Terence Crawford sometime this year. Hopefully, maybe. I actually think it's a good thing that there is very little information floating around out there as far as negotiations are concerned, because by and large, PBC, Showtime, and Al Heyman have typically done things behind the scenes, got deals done, or if a deal did materialize, they leak the information thereafter. So, hey, we offered somebody $60 million and they didn't want it, and that's why this fight's not happening. But by and large, the fact that there isn't a lot of noise out there circulating surrounding the negotiations, I think is a positive sign. Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford are at the height of the welterweight division. There really is no questioning that. 147 pounds, if you're not mentioning those names, then you're probably confused about the sport of boxing, and you should seek help. It is what it is. We do understand there's a crop of fighters that are growing and establishing themselves and raising the bar and ensuring that the divisions 126, 130, 135, 140, 147 stay viable for a long, long time. We have the Shakurs, Devins, obviously Jaron Boots Ennis, who we will discuss in this video at length. But for right now, at 147 pounds, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. are at the top of the division. They're in that spot because they've earned that spot. We know about Crawford's past, undisputed at 140, 5 fights currently at welterweight, if I'm not mistaken, all stoppages, and a style that's aesthetically pleasing and highly effective, and the dude is mean and beats the shit out of people. That's Terence Crawford. On the other side, you have Errol Spence Jr., who took the long way to the top, racked up victory after victory, stopping dudes viciously to the body or just disfiguring them, amassing belts off 3 champions, to become a unified champion at 147 pounds and put himself in a position to also become undisputed, he and Crawford, once they finally meet. But you have to think about where they've come from, what they've accomplished in the sport of boxing and their resumes, and why they're in that position. This is where I get into Jaron Boots Ennis, a big, giant 47-pounder, a massive dude, Philly fighter, lots of flair. He looks super relaxed when he's out there. I'm going to do a video breaking him down, specifically his fighting style, the good and the areas where there's opportunity for development. But anyway, I think, what is he? He's 29-0 or 28-0, 29-0, pretty much all knockouts. But when I see people calling for, oh, you know, Crawford's going to duck or Spence is going to duck, who's ducking a guy who doesn't have belts right now, who's an up-and-comer, who is still making bouts on co-features, which is not a knock. It is what it is. You have to develop the way that you develop. Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. are currently in the position to make history in the sport, make a shit ton of money, and then they themselves climb the ladder to 154 pounds. I'm confused as to why there's already conversation about somebody avoiding a fighter like Boots Ennis when there's something far greater right now, on the table. Undisputed at 47, with 2 fighters in their prime who beat the shit out of people, those titans clashing is greater than what Boots might be able to do against them. For right now, yeah, that's the reality. And shout out to Boots Ennis, it's not even a knock on him. Now, transitioning over to what could be possible for a fighter like Jaron Boots Ennis, a lot of stuff right now. As he mentioned, and in case you don't know, he's now the mandatory for the IBF belt currently held by Spence. He's not going to get that fight right now. He may never get it, because we know that Errol Spence also stated that I don't have a lot of 147-pound fights left in me. You know, it's hard to make that weight. He himself also is a big welterweight. He looks to go up to 154. That gets a little more tricky, though, which is another video for another day. Now that Jermell Charlo was undisputed. There's no belts available. So unless he going to go up, and then his brother's there. But anyway, so what is on the table for a fighter like Jaron Boots Ennis? A lot. I want to see him. You know what? I know he's resting up. He had a tough fight. I think Ennis Ugas will be a crazy fight just because of the styles. Obviously, Danny Garcia's name's floating around there, but if I'm not mistaken, I actually believe that he stated that he won't be the guy that Ennis makes a name off of, that being Danny Garcia. But I'd still love to see that fight, but I get where he's coming from, because even though he's had a certain level of success at 47, for me, Danny Garcia's never really been a true 47-pounder. He has crazy power, 40 and 47, but against the elites in the division, he just has been unable to get it done. For the record, I feel like he beat Sean Porter, but Sean Porter's activity, how busy he was more favorable in the eyes of the judges, even though he had the cleaner, readily identifiable work, sharper work, higher land percentage, but it didn't matter. Sean Porter stayed on him, was in great shape, did his thing. They keep bringing up the Keith Thurman fight for Jaron Ennis, which is the fight I would like to see too, but I don't know how I'm going to say right now, I feel like Jaron Ennis will probably cook Keith Thurman. I had to study the tape and see how the styles mesh, but Keith Thurman gets hurt often in fights, got dropped by Pacquiao, still looked good in the back half of that fight, got hurt to the body by Luis Collazo, he had his eyes get crossed up when he got socked up by Riverside Rocky, Josecito Lopez, and a guy with decent power like Jaron Ennis. I don't think he has that explosive power, but he has decent power. Keith Thurman would have to box his ass off, use a lot of movement, utilize his jab, be slick defensively, and try to win that fight, in my opinion, on points. That's just an early breakdown. I don't even know I went into all that. But it's just discussing the opportunities that exist for a fighter like Jaron Ennis. And I think those fights are great fights because at this point, this dude, shout out to Brendan McDonald. Stay tuned to the end of this video. We're going to go over a clip because I think I might agree with Brendan McDonald that this knockout that Ennis just got, that shit looked questionable a little bit. And I got a great clip. Shout out to Boxing Talk 101. It's their intellectual property. I'll put the link to their channel in this description. If you look at the end of this video, this shit don't look right. But anyway, whoever it's going to be, even if you're a guy like Ennis, maybe you flirt at 54 and fight some names, right? And then come back down to 47. I know people are not typically a big fan of guys jumping weights, but he's big enough and strong enough. I think he can do it successfully. But continue to build your resume now at this point. I mean, you got Thomas Delorme's on there. The Sergey Lipinets fight, I think that's a good victory for Ennis, but that's a former 140-pounder. He had nothing for Ennis. Ennis was too damn big for him. Delorme had lost 2 fights in a row. That was his 3rd loss in a row. He's also a former 140-pounder. So these guys are like names, but who do we know that Jaron Ennis is just like destroyed? And you're like, damn, he gave him work. Like, for example, you think about Sean Porter. He's in tough with everybody he fights. Everyone he fights, he's in tough with, like from a favorable perspective. He goes in there. He was in tough against Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford drops him twice and stops him. Never seen Sean Porter get stopped before, whether it's knocked out cold or TKO'd on his feet or his dad stopping the fight. He did something that no one's done. So you look at a fighter like Bud Crawford like, damn, he's the goods based on his ability to do something that no one else has been able to do at 147 pounds against a guy who's a tremendous fighter himself, good athlete, always in shape, and Bud Crawford got it done. You need those types of victories. You need a Danny Garcia on your resume. You need a Lamont Peterson on your resume. You need a Sean Porter on your resume. These are the type of fights. And if you don't have these type of fights on your resume, or these guys, name known guys, I need to see you fuck people up straight like that. And so we're going to get into it a little later. But anyway, I need to see you destroy people. And so for right now, Jaron Ennis, he's doing what he's supposed to do. Go out there, beat the guys they put in front of you, and then call people out. I think that we as fans have to manage our expectations, realize where Spence and Crawford are at in their careers, and where Ennis is at in his career as a young, bright star climbing the ladder. He has a couple more fights in front of him, and quite honestly, based on the circumstance and situation between Spence and Crawford, he kind of doesn't have a choice anyway. He doesn't have a choice. That fight is going to happen. It's going to materialize. If it doesn't, then shit, I'm just wrong. But that fight has to happen. It's what's right for boxing. It's what's right for the welterweight division. And we cannot get ourselves in a situation where we're looking at Pacquiao, Mayweather, a million years too late. And quiet as it's kept, Bud Crawford's 35 years old. So But we're not no more playing around with this one. Boots, get some more bodies in your resume, destroy some people. This Clayton cat, you know what? Brendan McDonald, let's get into it right now. Let's take a look at a clip right here. Jaron Ennis throws 738,000 jabs. This dude is flinching and biting on every feint imaginable, throwing 0 to no punch. He's just there to get a check. He's there to get a check. I'm just gonna say it. So you finally see the shot, hits him behind the ear. He goes down in a heap. Now he's rolling around, flopping on the ground. The ref's counting him out. He gets back to his feet. As he starts to walk over to the rope, though, look how he stumbles into the rope. Like he just collapses all weird. Like and then they get him on the stool and he's smiling and cheesing and shit. I don't know. I'm not taking anything away from Boots Ennis. That's not his fault if a dude took a dive or whatever, but he got a knockout second round in a pretty one-sided fight where he threw a bunch of jabs, landed a couple right hands, went downstairs to the body with the right hand, doubled up the left occasionally, and then he lands this overhand right, little short overhand right to the side of the head behind the ear. He gets him out of there. But it does look funny. I don't know. It looks funny to me. But let me know what you guys think. Bud Crawford, Errol Spence, where they're at currently. We know we're checking for that fight. Jaron Ennis, his skills, his ability, his size for the division, what he's done, what he's accomplished, pretty much all knockouts, and where he fits in that equation, and what fights you would like to see him mention or partake in that's actually a real opportunity for him next, not what could happen down the road, especially with the prospect of both Bud Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. mentioning, hey, I want to go up the ladder. I want to be at 54. I'm not really interested in staying at 47. It's just killing my body. This is your boy, JG. This is the Punch Report. We out.